In what the judge described as a very sad case, the 27-year-old woman was today found not guilty of murdering her own daughter by reason of mental illness. In handing down his verdict, Justice Hume said he was satisfied the accused was suffering from a disease of the mind in the form of a major depressive illness with psychotic features. He also told Newcastle Supreme Court, while I'm satisfied she appreciated the nature and quality of her act, her ability to think rationally was significantly impaired. The woman was found lying next to the body of her 6-week-old child in July last year. While the defence did not dispute that a deliberate act caused the baby's death, it relied on expert evidence from a psychiatrist who diagnosed the woman with a major depressive disorder, telling the court she was convinced the child wasn't hers, rather a devil thing. Another psychiatrist brought forward by the prosecution agreed with the diagnosis. In handing down his verdict, Justice Hume told the court the girl's death has no doubt caused the mother, her family and her friends and people in the community much grief and anguish. He ordered her to remain in a mental health facility until she's deemed suitable for release.
It's ugly scenes like these Sydney's lockout laws were designed to prevent, and according to an independent review, they're working. For long-time campaigners like Tony Brown, the report is a resounding endorsement Newcastle got it right when the laws were first introduced here in 2008.
It's a real misconception, this mantra from the industry of why punish the majority for the exceptions and the few. Well, Newcastle has shown beyond any reasonable doubt that it wasn't a question of punishment, it was making our streets much safer.
According to police data, since 2008, Newcastle's seen a 64% reduction in the number of assaults. Over that same period, there's been a doubling in the number of licensed premises, mainly small bars and restaurants. Simon Nicholas co-owns a small bar in the heart of the city.
Newcastle has changed and I think we've grown up now.
He says patrons are demanding quality over quantity, but even with the change in culture, there are still limitations.
We can't serve cocktails during our peak period of the week. That's devastating for us, but it's something we have to work around until there maybe is a review.
And he's not alone.
At the moment, there's parts of our city and parts of our time of day that are restrictive, and it's time to open that discussion.
Amanda Bennett, NBN News.
Unloading, unpacking, assembling and adding those vital finishing touches. Day 17 and work on the Build for a Cure project has moved indoors, with the teams from Freedom and McDonald Jones on a mission to make this house a home.
We have just been like a tornado. We've put it together, it looks amazing, it's all coming together, it's just been incredible.
Interior designers Jill Clements and Gillian Davies are the creative minds behind the look. They started planning for this day back in May.
The main brief in this was to make it family friendly. So we've created a global tribal feel that has a luxury finish.
And while there are glimpses of what's to come, we'll have to wait until Sunday for the big reveal.
It's phenomenal. It sort of makes you feel proud. So, yeah, it does. It does. You know, as I say, just as a group thing and a whole team thing, it's really great.
The all-important fundraising auction will take place next month. Emma Murphy, NBN News.
There are a few guys there who thought they were driving bumper cars or shopping trolleys or something. A Chinese athlete made a few bloody questionable choices, but you know, at the end of the day, the race finished and I came fifth and move on.
There's no injury concerns, mate. Everyone's 100% fit, so everyone trained last night. We're as per program, mate. So yeah, train well, and we'll have a session here tomorrow night, and that'll do us.
We've been trying to keep the guys relaxed. I mean, obviously it is a big occasion, but in saying that, it's just another game of footy, and that's it really. It's plain and simple. It's another game of football.
The Lees family has never lifted the Newcastle Gold Cup, but many believe Chris could claim the Quinella in 2016. Stablemates' sense of occasion and singing finished 1-2 in the Rosehill Premiers Cup last month.
Well, there are chances. You know, it's an open race, but there's a couple there that could easily show up with the right type of runs.
Today's barrier draw saw singing draw 3, but the fancied sense of occasion will have to start out wide.
Sense of occasion's drawn awkward, but he raced wide at his most recent start, so providing he can get a little bit of cover, I don't think it'll be too big an issue. Singing's got a favourable draw. He'll get covered up and get a nice run, just back off the speed.
Sacred Masters' run in the Wyong Cup raised some eyebrows, and many believe he'll be hard to beat from barrier 7. Racecourse Operations Manager Peter Birch expects the track to be in good condition for Friday's Cup.
We got 10 mils of rain overnight, so it's really nice. The track's about a soft 6 now. Probably improved to between a good 4, soft 5 for Friday.
Very hopeful that we'll have record crowds and a wonderful couple of days of racing and fun.
Paddy Kilmurray, NBN News.
We've moved on the best we can as the players' job is to play. Obviously, we saw that on the weekend against Edgeworth. in saying that, yeah, it is good to get it out of the way, and obviously it gives us a measure of his capabilities within Melbourne City's side going into the A-League season.
Because they were quite young, like 19, 18, 20 years old, a lot of them joined up because they wanted to travel and make a contribution and experience life. And so there are stories about women, from Newcastle who were pretty disappointed to get allotted back to their hometown.
Public patients admitted to hospitals will have their care provided free of charge, just as they do now in any public hospital.
Every day, paramedics save lives, but they say their own calls for help are being ignored. The union's Gary Henry has been a paramedic for more than 15 years. He claims the region's staff numbers haven't increased since 2007, despite a promise from the former New South Wales Ambulance CEO, and that with a growing and ageing population, things have reached crisis point.
They're not getting a rest. They're not getting their crib breaks. I can personally say that I've missed 14 cribs in a row out of a 3-week period. So that's just indicates that. So for 3 weeks, I didn't get lunch. And the new system where we're offloading and having to press our buttons and clear quicker means that ambulance officers potentially can work for 12 hours without stopping.
The result, fatigue, something paramedics say is putting lives at risk. Gosford is suffering the most, with crews from the Hunter and Sydney being called in to meet demand. Adding to the problem, hospitals are also under pressure. Over the past week, ambulance crews have regularly been unable to offload patients, with emergency departments at the John Hunter, Mater and Lake Macquarie private hospitals at capacity. Last Saturday, offload waiting times hit 90 minutes. The next day, 10 ambulances were queued at the John Hunter, while 5 were left waiting at the Mater. Even at 3 a.m. on Monday, 2 crews were left waiting for more than 2 hours.
We're not nursing staff, we're paramedics, so primarily they're not getting the care they need straight away. The other problem with that is that paramedic crew is tied up and can't be dispatched to the next case.
Paramedics say they've had their disability insurance payout drastically cut, in some cases by hundreds of thousands of dollars. But New South Wales Ambulance says the new award was made when the previous one became financially unsustainable.
I wouldn't be able to feed the family pretty much.
Today, they took a stand, writing protest messages in chalk on ambulance windows. When contacted by NBN News, the Health Minister's office highlighted a budget commitment to employ extra paramedics in metropolitan and regional centres. So far, none have been promised to the Hunter. The union says it's been told numbers won't be reviewed until March.
We can't keep running job to job without even having toilet breaks and provide the best service to the community.
Emma Murphy, NBN News.
Newcastle's former courthouse has been vacant for 7 months, and there are fears time is already taking its toll.
This courthouse was supposed to go on the market more than a year ago, and here it is, starting to look quite derelict.
The building's sale was first announced during construction of the $90 million courthouse on Hunter Street, but the for sale signs are yet to go up, and Labor claims infighting between the Attorney General's office and Property New South Wales is to blame.
While those two armies are fighting, Rome is burning, and it's an absolute disgrace that they can't get themselves organised enough to get a building onto the market and have it sold.
Architect Barney Collins believes the market is right for such a sale.
Certainly Newcastle East, the time is occurring now and you're seeing a lot of development, mainly residential at the present time, but there's also some commercial.
Part of the large city site is heritage listed, including the iconic facade which dates back to 1890.
A lot of people see the positives in that you can actually get anything approved if you can clearly show that doing it preserves the conservation or the heritage values of the building.
The government won't say exactly when the site will be listed, only that there are a number of unique considerations which need to be resolved before it proceeds to market. Amanda Bennett, NBN News.
By starting them in the surf really young, you're building their confidence up, but they're giving it an awareness of the surf. Right? So rather than being sort of 12, 13 years old and not knowing anything about the beach, they're learning on the way, and that confidence is built up over time.
The build-up to the Spring Carnival wouldn't be complete without the Beaufort Club lunch, with the likes of Andrew Gibbons enjoying time out of the saddle. Tomorrow he'll ride the Kim War train Dowd Stood Charlie in the Gold Cup.
He's up in grade a bit. This is a lot harder than he's usually racing, but he's a very consistent horse. He loves the Newcastle track. He loves it a bit soft, so I'm hoping for a bit more rain.
He'll team up with Chris Lees to campaign Little Shocker in the Tibby Stakes.
She's another one that's drawn well. She's raced up on the speed, and with her turn of foot, I'm just hoping with the conditions she might be able to zip enough to get away from him.
NJC ambassador, Knights 5/8 and keen punter Jared Mullen was also on hand to give us his tips for tomorrow.
My Tibby Stakes tip is a John O'Shea train for toe and me Ruffy's Kellyville Flyer. For the Cameron Handicap, the Chris Lees train Lure Remain, the local trainer, hopefully get a win in that, and me Ruffy's Snoopy. And for the Gold Cup, I like Singing, but I'm really scared of the Chris Waller train Sacred Master and me Ruffy's Lord Disick.
Two modern-day warriors ready for battle. Their proud clubs waiting patiently to have this trophy in their possession once again.
It's been a long time since Souths have been here. In saying that, the guys are excited. We've got a good young playing group, and yeah, I mean, they can't wait to get out here on Sunday.
In 1989, South Newcastle was victorious over Western Suburbs. Led by Richard Jones, the Lions ground out a hard-fought win. It was their second consecutive title, but also the last. 2 years later, it was glory for the Scorpions, who overcame Wests at Harker Oval. There were jubilant scenes, which continued well into the week.
That was a great team effort, and the feeling in the club last night was just unbelievable. It meant so much to the people up here. It was just incredible.
Macquarie fell agonisingly short last year, and this time around, its supporters have attempted to rattle the Lions' cage. Driving through Merriweather, blaring the club song.
I think it's good. I mean, why wouldn't you want to drive around Merriweather, mate? So I don't think there'll be any South supporters going out towards Toronto. So yeah, I think they're taking in the beach views.
There's no crowd like a Toronto crowd. I can't wait to see all the boys and all the supporters here. So yeah, come out if you're not doing anything Sunday.
The match kicks off at 3 p.m.
I used to watch it as a fan too and support it, so I know how much it means to people when players do come down, and for me to now be in a position where I can come and put a smile on someone's face, like that means the world. That means more than anything, you know. I think I'd be City. Yeah, so I think Brad Fittler's the coach. If you're watching, Freddie, give me a ring.
A prized fighter, Kyron Dryden, seeking redemption today, hoping to overturn an assault conviction.
Kyron, are you feeling confident today?
He was found guilty in January of attacking his former partner, Tory Lee Hillary, last year, and then posting the images and details of the assault on social media.
She's my missus cheating on me in her house, in the bedroom.
Dryden's lawyer argued there was no evidence of some of the head and neck injuries Miss Hillary suffered and discounted her recollection of the incident. but the appeal was quashed, with the district court judge having no doubt the assault occurred and adding the Snapchat video was clearly designed to cause maximum embarrassment to the victim. When handing down his verdict, Judge Michael King weighed in on Dryden's initial sentence, a 4-month intensive corrections order. He described it as entirely inadequate.
I'm actually shocked because I personally disagree with the decision. I know what happened that day.
Dryden boasts a carefree lifestyle to thousands of followers on Instagram.
What can I get for you?
Do you sell a give?
What's that, sorry?
Do you just do breakfast all day?
Yeah.
Is there any on that menu?
But one thing he does care about is his boxing career, and it's taken a devastating blow.
I love to fight professionally. I'm good at it. I'm a champion, but I'm not a thug in any way. And whatever videos are online, they're all that's for people's entertainment.
You say you're not a thug, but you are convicted of assaulting a woman.
Yeah, that I totally disagree with. I've maintained my innocence from day one.
Dryden and his lawyer are now exploring further options to appeal. Mike Lorrigan, NBN News.
In 2013, this was announced as the site to house the new Maitland Hospital. 3 years on, and the land at Medford remains empty. Yesterday, the New South Wales Health Minister announced plans to enter into a public-private partnership to fast-track the $400 million development. Federal Labor, quick to fuel concerns public patients could be pushed aside.
We all need our health, and it shouldn't just be for people who can afford to pay for it. It needs to be for everyone.
No, we'll put that one to bed. If you walk in that emergency department, you are triaged by the clinicians. You are not triaged by any other means.
State member for Maitland, Jenny Aitchison, has slammed the government for taking so long to announce the model, labelling the lack of consultation as disgraceful. She's also demanding the government reveal a commencement date and bed numbers.
We still don't have a solid answer on that, and given that we've had no consultation since November 2014, I don't think that's acceptable.
Scott McDonald says expressions of interest will close at the end of November.
And it does take a period of time. They take time in Sydney, they take time here, but it's more about getting it right.
Emma Murphy, NBN News.
It's a city well and truly on the move. Newcastle's CBD is bustling with construction activity. The University of Newcastle's new space building and a new transport interchange at Wickham, part of its ongoing revitalisation. The Hunter Research Foundation says it's projects like these that have contributed to a dramatic increase in non-residential investment in 2016, totalling more than $1 billion. That's up 44% on the previous year. It's a welcome sign for the economy in the wake of the mining boom.
Well, we know that there are employment multipliers that come from construction, and they're higher than some other industries. So we'd like to see some jobs coming out of that, both in terms of construction and also the kinds of businesses and activity that will move into the CBD.
As for the Hunters' unemployment rate, it's increased slightly from a 2.5-year low in April to 5.8% in July.
Our unemployment rate's converging with the state rate, and certainly the labour market's looking more healthy than it was in 2014.
This latest economic snapshot was revealed at a breakfast this morning, with the event also marking the 60th anniversary of the Research Foundation.
I think it helps businesses and community groups make timely decisions. I think it helps us plan for the future, and I think it helps us understand what are some of the emerging issues within the region.
Renee Feder, NBN News.
Pole Officer Crossman was a young Novocastrian. In fact, he was born in Queensland, but he went to Newcastle Boys High School here. But like another 14 Australian pilots involved in the battle, he lost his life in that battle on the 30th of September 1940.
Some of the state's top jockeys and trainers vying for Newcastle Racing's prized possession. Perfect conditions for Chris Lees in his quest for a maiden cup.
The track's racing really well. It's a credit to the club. They've got it in really good order despite a bit of rain. So every horse is getting their chance today.
Star jockey Hugh Bowman ready to pilot the Chris Waller-trained Sacred Master.
I thought Sacred Master, now that the track's a bit firm, it could be the one to beat.
But Lees's runner Singing was fancied by the punters. Karen McAvoy ready to steer the favourite home.
Obviously it'd be nice for a local trained horse to win the race. Chris has got 3 in the race, and my fellow deserves favouritism. He's been running well, and look for him to be a major player today.
Spirit Bird flashed home late to claim the Tibby Stakes. In the Cameron, it was the informed Chetwood from start all the way to the finish. As for the main event, race 7, the Newcastle Cup, and it was the Chris Waller-trained Sacred Master which held them off.
Back to back, yeah, it's great feeling.
DIC ran second and Janoob third, ahead of Sense of Occasion.
They'll be hard to beat and hard to break down, so we need to be full of confidence going into the game and make sure that we focus on ourselves and make sure we put in a really good performance. Like I said, I want to build confidence going into the season and make sure that I focus in the front third and make sure that I'm doing everything I can to keep that form going.
She's only 10 years old, but Zara Foran may be the best swimmer the school has ever seen. This month, she'll go to Durham to compete in the National Championships. How did you feel when you got through to Nationals?
I was very happy that I made it because all the training was worth it.
To train, Zara wakes up at 4:30 in the morning and swims for 2 hours. She'll compete at Nationals in 4 events. Her favourite is the 15 metres freestyle. Her family will be there to watch, including her brother Billy. Are you proud of Zara?
Very proud.
It's not just the pool where she has impressed everyone.
I think she's a kind, caring student.
Zara is an absolutely delightful student because she's involved in everything. She's always enthusiastic and always gives her very best.
My goal is to just have fun there because it's not really about winning, it's about having fun.
To watch the full story or get your school involved, head to our website and we could be coming to your school.
I'm John Conway. And I'm Harrison Beto. And we're reporting to you for NBN News Junior Journos.
Now, I've written to the Minister numerous times. I've had the Shadow Minister up here twice. I've put this into Parliament to get answers on. And now, if we get more than 10,000 signatures, we can have it debated in Parliament to try and get some action from this government.
Dexter is one of the lucky ones, on the road to recovery after being struck by a car 8 weeks ago. With the breeding season now underway, more koalas like Dexter are making the perilous trek to find a mate. And for a growing number, it's a journey with a tragic ending.
So what's happening is that they're crossing roads, trying to find new territory, and unfortunately they're coming into contact with cars, dogs.
This is by far the most notorious black spot. 7 of the 9 koalas hit and killed by cars in the region this year were found here on Port Stephens Drive. Urbanisation is taking its toll, with the local koala population on the decline.
We're estimating that the numbers could be as low as 120.
The Hunter Koala Preservation Society has big plans to help. It's working with Port Stephens Council to build a $2.5 million dedicated koala hospital. All that's needed now is funding.
All the plans have been done. We've got the groundwork already laid, the infrastructure's there. We just need to get the buildings on the ground.
An application's been made for a state government grant. Port Stephens MP Kate Washington is calling on the Environment Minister to help.
I've got $300,000 in the kitty, I've got $2.4 million in applications. So in my view, the Minister for the Environment really needs to step in and take some responsibility over and above the usual grant process, which is not really designed for major infrastructure builds.
Amanda Bennett, NBN News.
Think big, bright and bold. Today was all about the ladies. Spring sunshine celebrated with colourful outfits.
It's a fantastic day for the races. The weather's beautiful. I'm out here with my girlfriends.
It's Ladies' Day. And that's what we can't forget.
Punters, young and old, getting in the spirit. But the real competition was found in fashions on the field.
A good opportunity to dress up and, wear your nicest clothes and, have fun.
I actually got this made. Gone white, lace, and a bit of
this rose action here. So very feminine, floral and ladylike.
With the stakes high, the bolder the headwear, the better. But the experts say there's a fine line between sophistication and too much.
She does something smaller with metallics and, the leaves, is just going to complement something that's, a bit more bolder, and she's done it with her shoes and accessories as well. So it's all about attention to detail.
Newcastle Jockey Club CEO Matt Benson says the decision to move the Spring Carnival to a Friday and Saturday last year is paying off.
We had over 1,000 general admissions tickets sold online before the day even started. So we've got a crowd probably double, maybe triple where we were last year, and this will become the biggest day on our calendar.
Sky Hull, NBN News.
Well and truly at the pointy end of the competition, and it was the Wanderers looking sharp early. Tim Marsh then stepping on the gas, finding Dylan Rowney on the inside. The two Blues quick to the breakdown, soon they had three more, and right on 10 minutes, Rahui found space in the middle of the pitch. He and Marsh toying with the Beaches backline. 17 ahead, the home side had all the momentum, but a turn of luck for Beaches. Blindside Ben Ham given his marching orders. Moments later, the visitors burrowing over the line. 17-7, the ball sent through the hands to again find the quickest man on the field. Tim Marsh looking dangerous and the Wanderers looking early winners. After the break, Rowney crossed for his second, and despite a victory out of reach, Beaches refusing to give up. Hayden Gavin with the 5-pointer, but the two Blues were too good, charging home with tries to Ben Ham and to Danny Murch. Booking a grand final matchup with minor premiers Hamilton next week.
The beaming smile of a birthday girl, Tilly Buttini handed the honour of officially opening this new home. A house built to save girls and boys just like her.
It's really good because it's helping everybody, and it's helping everybody like me.
Tilly was diagnosed with leukemia when she was just 9 months old.
Number one, we had no idea that children got cancer, and secondly, that what was ahead of us, we understood was very, very serious.
What followed was 2.5 years of gruelling treatment. 6 years on, she's officially cancer-free and a very grateful guest of honour at the opening of the latest Build for a Cure house. The property, soon to be the subject of a fundraising auction, holds the key to helping more children like Tilly.
We want every child to be looking like Tilly is today.
Incredibly, the 4-bedroom, fully landscaped home was built in just over a week. The land donated, the build donated, the fit-out donated.
They worked hard day and night, not only giving up their time but also their wages as well. Suppliers supplied all the materials. Tradespeople supplied the labour, and the house went up in 8 days and it's ready for sale.
Every single item inside this house has been donated, meaning every cent from the auction will go straight to the Children's Cancer Institute to continue their vital work.
So that we can take the survival rate from where it is today, with 3 kids every week still dying of cancer, from 3 to 2 to 1 and ultimately to 0 childhood cancer.
Hundreds of people streamed through the doors today to help support the cause. The house goes under the hammer on October 23. Kate Haberfield, NBN News.
It was an unassuming appearance for one of Australian cricket's all-time greats, Michael Clarke, at Toronto, arriving to no fanfare, no special treatment, and with no hesitation when it came to chatting to adoring fans who turned out to see their hero play a Newcastle select side in their own backyard.
Because I'm so rusty, I hope people haven't come to watch me bat. They'll be disappointed.
This morning, Clarke was one of the first there, inspecting the pitch curated by another former Test player, Dutchie Holland, now recovered from an alleged attack last month.
It's terrific for our club, to have all these people turn up and want to watch the cricket here.
I think he's done a great job with the ground. It's fantastic.
In the end, Clarke's Western Suburbs side didn't bat. After winning the toss and choosing to bowl, the game was rained out after 12 overs. But the star attraction was in no rush to leave.
I've always loved Newcastle. It's just up the road, and I've spent plenty of time here growing up as a kid. So, yeah, it's nice. And if I can put some smiles on some kids' faces, and I'm more than happy to try and do that as well.
Michael Clarke's appearance here today will be repeated at suburban grounds across Sydney this summer. He's committed to playing in at least Western Suburbs opening games, if not more.
I'll always have love for the game, and this is my way of getting that cricket fix. I can still play, I can still hopefully compete at this level, and but yet I don't have to take it as serious as representing Australia.
Samuel Jordan, NBN News.
Oh, as you know, mate, it's the Paralympics. We're not done yet. We want to settle for that gold medal, not the silver medal. So, not getting too excited.
I want to thank everyone back home for the support, Mum, Nan and Pop for taking me training every day, my coach who had to put up with me every day in and out, and my school getting behind me, Miss Halpin and Mr Roxby who have been my 2 main support from school, so I want to thank you all.
The wet weather didn't deter the hardcore fans who turned out in numbers. The grand final was only a few minutes old when tensions flared. When calm was restored, Souths broke the deadlock. Willie Hedder started the move, Jake Lawrence spread the ball wide, and Jared Flanagan went over untouched. Macquarie's Joshua Schmiedel tried to turn the tables on Liam Higgins. Unfazed, Souths went close to adding a second. Instead, it was the Scorps who opened their account as Andrew Sumner laid on a great ball for Randall Briggs. It was Macquarie's turn to enjoy the momentum, but the minor premiers couldn't convert pressure into points. The Lions hooker returned the favour with a hit on Adam Grew, before James Taylor went agonisingly close to restoring the lead for Souths. Rex Johnson then gave the Lions a 1-point advantage. Shortly before the break, Sam McIntyre produced a 60-metre run but was dragged down a metre short. Trailing 7-6, the Scorpions weren't behind for long as Teason Fa'ave Eli crossed. That brought the Lions back to life as Hedder put his stamp on the game. The 5/8 kicked for Sam Cook to get Souths in front by 1. Hedder did it all himself to extend the advantage for the Lions. With their opponents now up by 7, nothing was going right for the Scorpions. Souths suffered a setback when captain coach Todd Hurrell was sent to the bin for a hit on Schmiedel. But the men in red and white were determined to hold their line as the rain made its presence felt. The Scorpions had 2 decent chances to score late in the game, but it wasn't to be. Souths earned a penalty for this hit, and Hedder added the 2 points. 21-12 was how it would stay as the Lions won their first decider since 1989.
It's awesome. I can't thank the boys enough. These boys here, they put in so much this year and they deserve every bit of it. And I'm sure there'll be a few drinks of South tonight in the next few days.
It's one of the most picturesque parcels of land in Newcastle, a patch that's been blocked off for more than 6 years. But not anymore. Most of the fences dismantled. Earlier, a passionate crowd swarmed on the Lands Minister, eager to hear the news.
And we came to hear you.
And clearly happy with the short-term solution to this land battle.
And returning the old greens back to open public space for the people of Newcastle.
But questions still hang over the future of the site. Once the subject of development plans, it's currently in the midst of an Aboriginal land claim.
Until that determination comes across my desk for a signature, one way or the other, that is still undetermined.
We're not going to give up. If there are any little bits of funny businesses going on, we're going to be right onto them, I can tell you.
The Bogey Hole is another site set to be reopened to the public, with the government committing almost $500,000 to stabilise the iconic swimming hole.
Once we receive the necessary heritage approvals from the Office of Environment and Heritage, we'll commence immediately, and it's my hope that that will be finished and reopened later this year, or at hopefully the latest very early in 2017.
The local Labor MP is sceptical. He's pushing ahead with his petition to save the historic site.
I'd like to see timeframes on the bogey hole to be fixed and a budget of some description. Some money's been allocated, but how much will it cost?
Kate Haberfield, NBN News.
With the country's defence industry booming, the hunter is soaring.
This is critical for the New South Wales economy, but it's also critical for the hunter economy.
Still flying high from a $200 million contract extension to BAE Systems for the Hawk lead-in fighters, the region is keen for an even bigger slice of defence spending.
There's significant opportunities for the hunter region across land, air and sea.
Today, State Industry Minister Anthony Roberts had the sea in his sights.
What I'd like to see is a strong naval presence in the hunter.
Hinting to a HunterNet Defence conference of a possible return to the Four-Jacks heyday. With Sydney's Garden Island Naval Base operating at near capacity, the Minister says Newcastle Harbour is well positioned to take advantage of future defence opportunities. No word yet on just what they may be. The government, though, is looking at all its options.
The Newcastle port is a natural port for us to expand operations, both commercially and naval operations. And that's something we're looking very closely at.
Existing defence facilities from the RAAF base at Williamtown to the Army barracks at Singleton employ 4,000 people. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
It's the final push on this long-awaited overpass. 500 metres of road that will hopefully ease the pain of some 40,000 motorists a day.
The people of Maitland have been waiting for this for such a long time.
The overpass spanning the New England Highway is designed to ease congestion for those headed towards Newcastle by having eastbound traffic avoid the Church Street roundabout.
The backup can be 2 to 3 kilometres in that early morning peak hour coming from the west to the east. So obviously those people will beat most of that now.
A much needed infrastructure boost for this rapidly growing city.
Every day, 5 new people make Maitland their home. And when you think those 5 people, that's the equivalent of a family a day. And we are going to need a lot of these works that are carried on.
If the weather stays relatively fine, the overpass is expected to be complete and open for traffic by the end of the month.
It's very nearly done. It's a very fine piece of engineering work, and I think the whole Hunter Valley should be proud of this one.
Kate Haberfield, NBN News.
The Steelers were the defending gold medalists, but America started as favourites. A 27-year-old from Port Macquarie was intent on defying the odds yet again. The two nations traded blows throughout the contest, but little could separate them. In the second period of extra time, Bat took control and celebrated in style.
Thank you so much to everyone back home for the support. We're thinking of you guys. Thank you very much. That's just, I'm speechless.
At Copacabana, Kurt Fearnley lined up for his last Paralympic marathon. It wasn't long before the Australian and a Swiss flyer broke away. Over 42 kilometres, the pair shared the lead, but in the end, 30-year-old Hoog had too much left in the tank. Fearnley says he'll remember days like this well into retirement.
Those days where you wake up and you can barely drag yourself out of bed, where you're in so much pain and discomfort, where you're mentally, just trying to grind yourself to just believe, and they're the tough days, and they're the ones that I'm proud of.
Fellow Aussie Christy Dawes managed to hang with the lead pack early in the women's race. She eventually finished 9th, clocking a personal best time. Exacting revenge for a prank two Scorpion fans pulled last week, the South Lion ventured into enemy territory to deliver a special gift to Toronto Workers Club. Until yesterday, the Lions hadn't won a decider since 1989.
We've fallen short many years, and we just had a feeling that this year was our year. There was no pressure on us today to score some minor premiers and everything, but we had self-belief in the club, and we had a lot of people out here that had self-belief in us, mate, and it's proven now we're premiership winners tonight.
Willie Hedder was one of South's best this season, but wasn't happy with his first half against Macquarie.
Yeah, when we get the ball in hand, I think we can do a bit of damage, and I was just lucky enough to get over the line and kick the goals.
Teammates such as Tim Christie, who couldn't play because of injury, provided extra motivation.
We had the call there, dig deep for Timmy, one of our colleagues and one of our players who couldn't play today, and we really dug deep for him and the rest of the team. So, yeah, mate, it's just great to get the victory.
The Scorpions coach admits his side had its chances but couldn't capitalise in crucial moments, especially when Todd Hurrell was sent to the bin.
Probably should have scored 2 or 3 when Toddy was off, and we didn't do that, mate, and it's going to come back to hurt us, but I just want to say thanks to everyone from the Macquarie community, the support they've had this week and this year for me and for the team.
Captain Coach Hurrell had plenty to prove.
As a captain coach, I mean, there's a lot of doubters out there that don't back captain coaches, and for this 17 here today to back me, it's extra special, and I can't thank him enough.
Having been replaced as coach for 2017, will Hurrell stay at Souths?
I don't know. We'll have a few drinks and I'll have a think about it.
Going up against the Victorian NPL champions, the Eagles were expected to be brought back to earth, but a double to Aidan Gardner in extra time handed Edgeworth a 3-1 win.
I thought we executed pretty well, rode a little bit of luck, but the good amount of chances that we created through the match, I mean, we were probably on top if you were to look at highlights through the match.
You'd have to say that the weekend's game would be the biggest win in the club's history. The Melbourne and Sydney Premiers are always regarded as the 2 strongest competitions.
Edgeworth officials say plenty of credit for the recent success has to go to coach Damien Zane.
Zane's ability to spot talent in young players and his ability to bring it out is just phenomenal.
They've already ventured to the FFA Cup's round of 16 this season. Now the Eagles will try to reach the National Premier League's final by beating Perth SC in WA.
All the boys are just stoked. I mean, they're over the moon. It's just enthusiasm and energy and you know, something that no one's ever done from the north. So, you know, it's history as well.